Welcome to the In My Opinion show. I am Denise Smith Allen. I'm your host for today. And with me, I have a very special guest who is very distinguished in our community. His name is Terry Bankert. And Terry is an attorney, and he also has done a lot of work in this community and wearing various hats. So I'm really pleased to have him here today. So Terry, we're going to get right into our discussion. So First off, again, I want to thank you and just say, we're going to talk about a lot of different topics. We're going to start off with maybe a little bit about you and your history here in Flint and the things that you've accomplished.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so have at it. Let's talk about, you are a native of Flint?
I'm a native of Flint. I lived 1 year in Grand Blanc, the rest of the time here. Mm-hmm. I was born in Flint. I was in I was down in a foster home on Hall Flats, and then went to Grand Blanc for about a year or two, and then came back and lived on Red Arrow Road and started first grade there.
Okay.
I'm Flint.
You are Flint. Okay. So where'd you go to high school?
I went to Southwestern, came out in class of 69.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And from there, you went on to college. Where'd you go?
I went on to Mott Community College, then in the middle of that, 6 months active duty as a reservist.
Okay.
And then for training only, then I went to U of M and decided I was better than that. And so I went to the University of AC and the University of Durant Railroad and the University of C&O Railroad. And then I went back to the University of Michigan because it was a lot easier.
I was thinking, what universities are these he's talking about? Okay. There's some work here. Okay.
All right. I've had a couple union cards.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you've had, like I said, a varied history, and very interesting history. So
I've been blessed by right place, right time. Mm-hmm. I just take on the challenges, but a tremendous number of friends.
That's wonderful.
When I hear people talk about passing it on, I've had a half dozen people pass it on to me. So
okay.
Always help somebody.
Right. Well, one of the things that I vividly remember was your experience as the ombudsman here in the city of Flint, and also your involvement with the Democratic Party. I thought that was a tremendous, interesting example of leadership. So let's talk about the ombudsman first.
Okay. I took that office very seriously in terms of what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. And it was an accountability office for citizens to make sure that the bureaucracy treated them correctly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. When I had been city clerk prior to that, so I had some time to observe it. Mm-hmm. And I think that my tack on it was a little bit different. But I looked at what the Canadians were doing and what other ombudsmen were doing, and basically, that was a third estate or whatever you call the bureaucracy, hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. Let the politics, the mayor and the city council be dealt with by the electorate, but focus on the bureaucracy. And I thought we were successful. Mm-hmm. It was a different day then, but I truly enjoyed that.
Yes.
And we just tried to do the right thing, and we had some major successes.
Right. Well, I think the key with you is the fact that, you brought integrity to the position, and I think that speaks volumes in terms of people working with you and getting things accomplished. When you were mentioning about your other position, and I had thought about that as well, but I just didn't think to talk about it. But I want you to talk about being a clerk as well. How did that work for you?
Well, it was scary every day for the first year.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I was young. Mm-hmm. And I came out of United Way. I'd been director of the Democratic Party. I went to United Way for a year. And then I get tapped to say, do I want to be Flint City Clerk? Mm-hmm. So I came in almost cold to what the office did, and I'd sit in committee meetings, taking minutes, and finally Melvin McCree said, "What are you doing? You got a secretary for that." Okay.
Oh, wow.
But you apply yourself. I had a great staff. I was back in an era where it was well funded, and I got the city clerk certification. Always attach education to things, and it was just really. It was fun to watch policy develop.
Okay.
And really some great unheralded council people. Because I saw, from the inside, I saw the work that it took to actually do that job.
Okay.
And then on occasion, because I also administered elections, that's where you have to keep the wolves at bay and have the integrity and courage to do that. And I don't know of a city clerk that doesn't meet that standard.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's awesome.
It's a tough job.
Yes, there's no doubt. But again, like I said, you held that to a high standard, and those that came after you are doing well as well. That's good. That's good. Okay. So let's talk about your transition into becoming a lawyer. Or was it a big transition for you?
It was a logical next step.
Okay.
Okay. Because as ombudsman, I was dealing with issues of law. And the honest truth is, I took that job seriously in the sense that I couldn't be involved in anything else.
Okay.
So I dropped out of every political organization I was a member of.
Okay.
And I went to community meetings, but I had time on my hands, so I went to law school while I was ombudsman.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people didn't know that because I made it seamless. You wouldn't have known it.
Okay.
Okay. And I, when I had issues with police brutality and issues with Fay Peak and Flint Police Department, I was going up against the city attorney's office, but I had all year and I only had one issue. And, it was fun to develop that. And we made some headway and did some good things. But I enjoyed that.
Okay. So then when you made that transition into becoming a lawyer, you became a specialist. Did you want to share anything about that?
Well, a good friend of mine, Judge Steckold, said, after I passed the bar, he says, I now knew the most law I was ever going to know, and be careful about what routines I took. Okay. And I developed.
Yeah.
And I tried a number of things. I did some criminal work, but I just decided I liked family law.
Okay.
Because it affects the most people, and the issues are critical, sometimes near emergency, and you can have a real immediate and dramatic impact on somebody's life.
Okay.
So, and a lot of attorneys would say they don't like to do that. There's about 30 very good attorneys doing it. But I just thought, okay, I don't understand why. If you want to affect the human condition, become a divorce lawyer.
For sure. You are definitely affecting.
And reality TV's got nothing on us. If I could write about my cases.
Oh, if you could. Okay. All right. So you've been doing that how long?
Since 1994.
Okay. So you have a lot of years under your belt, and I'm sure you have had some of your worst and some of your best cases. Without divulging anything, could you just kind of summarize maybe one case that, kind of stands out in your mind?
Well, I can't.
Okay.
But let me be general.
Okay.
I've represented a couple fathers that were wrongfully accused.
Okay.
And I saw a system that was really dysfunctional and didn't work.
Okay.
At the same time, I sponsored a parents group in child protective proceedings. During the era I did those cases. Okay. And more than a couple cases that way. Additionally, being across the street from the courthouse, I get emergencies.
Oh, wow.
Somebody walks in and something happens at a referee hearing or something you were unprepared for and they got a bad result.
Okay.
And I had a couple cases that we basically saved somebody's life because of the situation they were in. And we pride ourselves in working very quickly to resolve emergency issues. And I can't say a lot more.
Okay.
Because it would be identifiable.
Sure,
But,
sure.
I don't know of any other practice area, that I've experienced, but that gives you more gratification than to do family law work. And I pride myself in doing it through the eyes of the children.
Awesome. That is really, really commendable. Okay. So
Thank you for allowing me to plug.
Well, like I say, Terry, you have a lot of good things that you've accomplished here in this area. Now I wanted to kind of turn the page because I know, again, with the many hats that you've worn, specifically in the era of all of the transitions that have occurred in City Hall. And now we're looking at one of the things, there was a Blue Ribbon Commission that occurred, and we want to, get some understanding from your perspective about what that meant to the city of Flint and the residents here.
How horrible.
How horrible?
Yeah.
Okay.
That it got the Blue Ribbon panel that was impaneled by the city manager to have such a good group of people to work so hard, but to be so tainted and not supported by the community. Okay, I just thought that it was in my mind, what I recall was an attempt by the manager to orchestrate a certain end result, and I just thought there were some phenomenal people that put a lot of time into it, but it was almost impossible, I think, for them to overcome the taint of having been appointed by financial manager when the city had lost its power.
Okay.
And I think that some of their work may have had some longevity, but I don't know of any.
Okay. One of the interesting things is I did actually have an opportunity to read it, and I really was impressed with some of the recommendations. So it's just a question of, had we had, in my mind, in my opinion, some people who were not so politically motivated, that some good things could have occurred, some results.
We had the League of Women Voters, great organization, working with maybe some encouragement by Jack Miner and Scott Kincaid. They took a look at the city charter and how the city was organized. Okay, and my thought then was, why was it done this way? Why not just elect a charter commission? And the Blue Ribbon panel, it was the same thing. Why not just elect a charter commission? Okay? And I advocated for a couple years for the election of a charter commission, and found out I can talk a lot and people listen, but I can't get 25 people to do a petition drive. So okay. And then when it was actually put on the ballot, it was put on the ballot by the manager because he had to change anything. They had to have a charter commission. Okay. And I thought, great day. Okay. But when I look back, is why don't we just let the people decide?
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's why the League of Women Voters initiatives and Blue Ribbon Panel initiatives really didn't go too far.
Right.
Okay. And I'll just be honest with you. When we first mentioned Blue Ribbon Commission, I was answering about the Transition Commission.
Okay.
And that's why I was coming out hard, and then I realized, oh wait, she's talking about something else. The Blue Ribbon Panel, though, I went to some of those meetings, and it's the same conclusion.
Right.
That these changes needed to be done by a charter commission. Okay. And they did some good work, but they were done in isolation. And a couple of those recommendations didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
Good people, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, no, I asked you for your opinion, and you gave it, and I do appreciate that. So now I want to, again, shift into another realm, because we were talking about the baby boomers before we got online.
Yeah.
And I just wanted you to kind of give us an idea of what's going on with Medicaid, Medicare, and that kind of thing, so we can be helpful.
Well, what we have is a 10,000 baby boomers every day are applying for Social Security. Okay. I think I'm a baby boomer. I might be 1 year older, but I just did. So I'm really now an advocate of entitlement programs. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, you have my attention, okay?
Okay.
But if you take a look at what's going on right now, this country is at such a crossroads. Or in the crosshairs. Because we have a president that he won. But for God's sake, let us know what you're going to do, okay? And let's take a look at the folk. Let's have an agenda. And we have a country that's $14 trillion in debt. We owe huge money to China and other countries. We have a president that has said that he's going to rebuild the infrastructure. Yeah, where will that money come from? He wants to build a wall. Where will that money come from? Okay? And we now have a Republican-dominated... See, my voice went up?
Yes, I know.
We have a Republican-dominated Congress, okay? Led by Paul Ryan, who has been out front on wanting to dismantle Medicaid. Okay? To privatize through the use of vouchers, which really, and he calls it premium supports. That means vouchers. That means privatization. Okay? And what it means is you're going to shift the debt of this country onto the backs of the elderly and infirm people. That's what that means. It means that you're going to shift cost containment onto the backs of elderly people through a voucher program, okay? Versus Medicaid almost gave you an infinite number of selections. The voucher system or the premium assistance program that Ryan is talking about puts the burden on seniors for selecting within a finite amount of money how the money's going to be spent and how it's going to be spent with competing insurance carriers. Okay? Now, within the last 8 months, I've applied for Medicare and Social Security. And for the life of me, I don't know how my mother read through all that stuff and figured it out. It's confusing.
Okay.
And, you know, I just went with Advantage. I'm on Blue Cross.
Okay.
I was told I'll be hurt if I do anything other than that, but not everybody was on Blue Cross. How did they make that decision? Okay. And now you're going to take Medicaid and reduce it? Medicare and reduce it? Forcing seniors that are possibly near being infirm to have to make selection decisions on private carriers that are competing to give the least costly services. Okay?
Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense.
It makes no sense at all to me. And it gets worse. So, Trump, we're at everything, I think, is in jeopardy.
Okay.
And this is a democracy, and we all have a voice, and we all should be raising our voices with Congress for Medicare, and at the state for Medicaid, and Congress for Social Security, because everything's on the table. Okay, here is what I think. We have a president that has no ideology.
Yes.
There's no paradigm of thought that you can say that that's Donald Trump.
Right.
He said things to get through the election that he's now backing off from. Okay. In the election, he said he wasn't going to touch Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. Okay. But if you listen to Ryan, if you look at it, who he put in charge of the Department of Human Services and who he put in charge of the budget, okay, these are Tea Party Medicare cutters.
Okay.
Right. And we now have a I'm trying to be fair.
Yeah.
A weak president who's going to be dominated by the people he selects for these cabinet positions. And in a strong president situation, there's still little fiefdoms. Our government's pretty big. He's not going to have control. He's going to turn these guys loose. Okay? And just say, I'm going to let the system work. Well, okay. Part of that system is we get competitive and we compete and push back. So I think anybody that thinks they want to rely on Social Security and Medicare or has a family member that needs Medicaid, you better open up your eyes and get involved in this. And to all you middle-class people that supported Trump, it's your mothers and daughters and sisters and wives that are going to need these services. That's a local message.
Right, absolutely. And it's real.
It's real.
It's absolutely real.
So I was going to basically let the charter revision effort be the end of my bucket list. Okay. And I was going to pull back. And because I can't say anything more. I don't even want to go into City Hall right now. I don't mean anything. I just said I have nothing new to add. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But I've kind of, now my conclusion is I'm going to pay attention to safety net issues. I'm on community mental health. I'm going to pay a lot of attention to Medicaid. There may be a special millage. I may or may not chair that.
Okay.
For provide money for services that can't be paid for by Medicaid.
Okay.
Medicare. These are on the table right now. Social Security is on the table. So I'm working with a couple other people, and we're just starting to put together a safety net advocacy group.
Okay.
Of which this is the announcement.
Okay.
That I've been asked by former Lieutenant Governor John Cherry, who happens to currently be chairman of the Genesee County Democratic Party, to chair a Medicare work group that will hold a large meeting, probably in January, and I'm going to facilitate it. So I'm going to recruit somebody to help run it, and we're going to begin discussing and educating ourselves on these issues in Genesee County. And
I would imagine it's probably pretty significant, the number of people who are going to be relying on Medicaid and Medicare in this area. Do you have any numbers?
I don't have a total number. I know that on Medicaid, when it was expanded, it's 13 million new people. Okay, and they're talking about cutting it and pushing them back. On Medicare, they're talking about making, reductions in service and increasing cost. I think it's something like a quarter of the country is on these services.
Okay.
And then, of course, Social Security. Okay. There's talk about Medicaid tracking towards bankruptcy, but then that was expanded till 2028. And there's talk that it may not happen. Okay? So
these thoughts are just very scary. I mean, everything that you're saying right now, like myself, I know I'll be applying pretty soon. And to hear what you're saying, it's like I'm overwhelmed already just with the thought. And I'll probably be coming to those meetings that you're going to be involved in, because I need some clarity. I need to understand. And I'm hopeful that the people in Flint will become engaged in this, because there are a lot of people out here that really don't understand this process.
I would say the majority.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 3 college degrees. I'm on community mental health, and I'm just starting to figure out Medicaid.
Really?
And I had to really struggle to figure out Medicare. And then I literally went through like a 2 or 3 day thing with my own research to decide when I should file for Social Security.
Okay.
And there's no reason to wait past 60 years of age in 1 second.
Okay. All right. Good information. Good information.
So, I think we all have to be aware of that. And, you know, there's some pretty smart people in this town. There's some people that I'm hoping I can tap into. And if it's not an effort I'm leading, I can add some assistance to what they're doing, because I think we have to go back to basics, okay? Our country, wrong phrase. A lot of the presumptions we have about our country are now shattered, and
Absolutely.
we're zero-based, okay? Russia's no longer our enemy. We're going to build a wall with the Mexicans, with Mexico, when we rely on that labor, okay? And we wanted to retire and have our health care taken care of, particularly for our parents and ourselves, by Medicare, which is everybody, Medicaid, if you have a disability, and Social Security. And now those are being fractured at exactly the point in time in our history where we've lost our economic position in the world, and we've lost the long-term value in our housing. So we would normally think we'll have a Social Security, a retirement income, and a house that we can sell. And some people don't have any of that. And our safety net, okay, which isn't for those other people, it's for your people. You know, nobody knows what the cards are in play.
Right.
And we have a president that isn't going to intellectually lead, okay, and we need to get in the fight. That's what we have to do.
I keep saying the American dream has turned into the American nightmare. It is a nightmare. And to hear, like I say, some of the things that you're talking about in relationship to those things that we have held near and dear to ourselves. Looking forward to retirement, looking forward to having a home that you could either pass on to your family or sell. Those kinds of things are just not on the table anymore, and it's just sad. And I believe that's probably why it's a good thing that you're on the mental health board, because we have a lot of people who are losing it, and I mean seriously, behind stuff like this, because what we were taught, what we were told has just become a lie, and it's unfortunate.
Always was a lie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, Terry. I'm going to have you come back on the show so we can talk about that one. Okay. Well, listen, I am so delighted that you were able to spend time with us today and talk to us about, the various facets of Terry Bankert and your involvement in the legal community, as well as being just a community advocate and advocate for people. We're really, really pleased to have had you here. And just invite all of our people here, please focus. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Take care.